folks know what this stuff is used for? Could you tell us what it's used for?
It's used to get high.
It's not. It doesn't have THC in it. So
Then why are they buying it?
okay. CBD can be used for a multitude of medical problems and like inflammation.
So right now in the state of Tennessee, is that legal?
It is.
You can get a prescription for it. You wouldn't go to Quicksack to get it though, would you?
But you can get it at Walmart. So are you guys going to go to Walmart?
If they could get it at Walmart, then that's where we'll go. Okay, we'll check on that.
A modern drug policy, a humane drug policy, should be based on a very simple principle. Drug users are our children or our parents, and that our job is to minimize their suffering and to minimize the suffering of their families. And when saving drug users' lives becomes the centerpiece of your policy, everything changes. You become concerned with how do we get drug users the ability to get to drugs that are safe. But to approach someone whose life is chaos and say to them about their crutch, throw your crutch away, would be as cruel to say to somebody who has polio, well, first we want you to get out of the wheelchair. First we want you to give up the crutch.
In California, dozens of marijuana retailers have been licensed to start selling recreational pot on New Year's Day.
Today, more than half, 29 of the 50 states, already sell marijuana for medical use.
The start of sales comes more than 2 decades after California became the first state to legalize medical marijuana in the U.S.
My name is Mauro Lara, and we're here at Urban Trees in Studio City, California, in the LA area. In the long term, I mean, I think that when you have the most populous state in the United States turning to recreational, it's going to have a long-term impact.
We have multiple patients that come in here and they go, thank you so much for opening my eyes. Even if they don't leave with something, we give them pamphlets, we give them information. We go, hey, what are you taking right now? How many pills are in your cabinet? They go, oh, 16, and it does this, and it does this, and you're like, oh, okay, let me help you. Have you heard about CBD?
CBD is the non-psychoactive cannabinoid. THC is the most psychoactive one out of all of them, the one that actually makes you feel high. CBD is highly present in the hemp plant. You actually find it in really big quantities and in very small quantities in the cannabis plant.
The common misconception about THC and CBD is that they do come from the same place. The hemp plant itself is one portion of the cannabis plant family, and then you have the THC dominant-based plants, indica and sativa. But the predominant effect of hemp is going to be its CBD dominant and hemp-based plants, and there are hemp-based genetics that have a CBD dominant. Reintroduction of hemp itself as well can be used in a multitude of things to replace plastics and reintroduce an organic environment to our earth that is needed.
If some of these states will open up the door to be able to understand and at least see the benefits just from the hemp plant, we probably wouldn't have a drug problem in this country, you know?
One of the biggest benefits I've seen across the board for CBD is its relief without side effects, I guess you could say. People almost tend to say, hey, I don't even notice I was using this except for the fact that I feel good. And so I typically tell these people, you don't know how bad you feel until you start feeling good.
My name is Amber Dawn Burdick, and I live in Salem, Oregon. I needed a fresh start. I was going through a pretty horrible marriage. We needed a divorce, and I needed to be somewhere safe. I was not leaving the house most days. I had a job, but I was maybe working 1 or 2 days a week. You know, I have post-traumatic stress disorder. I was molested as a child. I suffered sexual assault from the guy that I was with. Pretty much him and the therapist kept me pretty drugged up. I was on Zyprexa, Seroquel, there's amitriptyline to sleep, and Wellbutrin to be awake, and I mean, it was a cocktail. I was an empty shell that just ate and ate and ate, and that's all I did. I ate and I slept. Like, I would get completely ready for work. I would take my shower or to the mall, or a friend says, hey, do you want to go out? Oh yeah, sure, I really want to do this, because I really want to do this. And I'd get to the door, I'd be ready, shoes on, keys in hand, and this fear would just grip me from the inside. It was like a lead weight just holding me, and I would sob, I would just cry, ugly cry, because I want more than anything to go through that door and do whatever that fun thing is that now I'm not going to be able to be part of. Now I can get through the door, and I can go to the place, and I can do the thing, and I can have all the fun. And it's great. You know, this has completely replaced any mental health medications. I take 0 mental health medications. I mean, of course, I still have the thoughts of like, did I pay the rent? Did I get the appointment made for the dog? Like, did I do all the things today? Like, my body's like, no, we're good. Everything is right in the world. Let's just go to sleep. I have lost just a little bit over 30 pounds. I hadn't gone to the mall since I was like a little kid. Now I can go to the mall and go through all those shops, man. By the time you get to the end, you're done. Like, your body is exhausted. You know, losing 5 pounds, it's great.
My name is Margaret, or Maggie people call me, and I live in Tillamook, Oregon. I was involved in a very serious car accident 1 month before 9/11. I had a massive head injury, which took my memory away from me for a period of almost 5 years. 12 discs immediately that were accordioned in my spine. My spine is literally like this all the way down. Went from being a total healthy person, doing all different kinds of things, to being able to do nothing. Moved out here from Wisconsin, and I was very fortunate because in that move, I was able to find out the full healing benefits of marijuana, especially the CBD portion of it. They had me on 240 Vicodin a month, not including the seizure meds I was on, not including all the Valium they had me on, not including the muscle relaxers or anything else. So I was taking upwards of, oh my goodness, 500 to 600 pills a month. I was literally told by my doctors that I would die of kidney failure because of the pills that I was taking. For me, I have cold CRPS. And what that means is it feels like I'm standing in dry ice from the waist down every second of every single day without cease. This is called the suicide disease for a reason. There's no escape from it. With medical marijuana, I have found an escape. CBD is my top thing that I utilize, and it's the only thing that keeps me moving. And I'm able to smile. I can smile. When I was on all those pain meds, you don't smile because there's nothing to smile about. And it causes this deep, dark depression in you to where, why exist? The doctors will come into the ER or wherever I'm at, and they're like, there's something wrong. They're like, your blood tests are absolutely perfect. That means I'm not going through kidney failure. I'm not going through liver failure because of all those pain pills. I'm actually thriving, and my body is healing from all the damage done by all those pain pills. I started out with vape pens. I now make my own coconut oil. The great thing about this, I put it in my coffee in the morning. I make my chicken dinners with it. And from that, I'll also make brownies. We're being made to feel like criminals, to utilize something that is all natural, that is not destroying our bodies.
Stephen Figueroa, Gardnerville, Nevada. Had a car wreck in '04, busted 6 ribs, had kidney damage. I was urinating blood. Still have the pains in the kidneys to this day. They don't know what it is. So that's welcome to Nevada. Then I said, look, because I've been going to the doctors prior to that, telling about my problems with pissing, and they said it was time, a sign of age, that you're gonna get this. It's your blood test, everything is fine. There's nothing to worry about, Steve. Your blood test is perfect. Well, I happen to have the rarest cancer there was, where the blood test would come in with a rare low PSA result, which was 7.4. 27 lymph nodes were removed, and the doctors wanted to give me radiation, a double radical prostatectomy I had. They wanted to give me a double dose of radiation. Let me get this straight. You're gonna take my liver, and you're gonna fry one side, and you're gonna flip it like a burger, and you're gonna fry the other side? I don't think so. You guys are gonna kill me. So then they said, will you please do the Luprin? At least it'll slow the cancer down, which is a female hormone. And I did one shot just to shut them up, and man, that jacked me up so bad it was unbelievable. Anyway, I stopped. And the whole time they think a year I've been doing it when I have not been doing it. I have been doing CBD oil. I have been doing Charlotte's Web. I have been doing CBD. The days were open, my PSA just went blam, down from a 16 to a 0.02. The doctors are shocked. They blame it on their treatment, which is their hormone treatment, but that's not, because I only did one 4 years ago and one 4 months ago, because the doctors wanted to turn me into the psychologist and said I was crazy because I'm doing this. Understand that cannabis cures patients. You guys have to understand that if we don't use this, we're gonna lose this, okay?
This is Eric Sterling. We're in the offices of the Law Enforcement Action Partnership in Silver Spring, Maryland. Beginning in 1981, as counsel to the House Judiciary Committee, my job was to write federal drug laws. My fingerprints are all over the federal drug laws and all over the criminal code from the 1980s, and many of those things are still in law now. Lawyers don't necessarily always have the luxury of following their heart. When I was able to get a job with Congress, I became a colonel in the war on drugs because that was my job. That was not where my heart was. People often sort of ask me, well, so why did you change your mind? And the first thing to make clear is I hadn't changed my mind. I was a drug policy reform activist when I was a law student. I would go to normal conferences and stand in the back so I wouldn't be photographed. I am incredibly lucky because since 1989, I've been able to follow my heart in the work of activism.
So we're by a whole lot of herbal, natural remedies, and one of those is CBD oil. Fibromyalgia, arthritis, just all kinds of different things that people want it for. Workout recovery is another one, a big one. But for professional athletes, police officers, people who are getting drug tested for their profession, we have isolate options for them where there's 0 THC. And right over here is the juice bar.
First, my favorites. Get the day started the right way, anxiety-free. Along with this, reishi ikomiya, hishuwu. A little cacao powder as well. Magic in a cup. Good way to be anxiety-free and live with a natural energy at the same time.
It's kind of interesting that they discovered the endocannabinoid system was always there in our body, that we have these two receptors, CBD receptor 1 and 2, where when we ingest the CBD, it actually binds to the receptor site, which causes, like, I think that's what the anti-inflammatory properties are, but it's kind of crazy that that's in our body already, you know, specifically designed for that. I do find it strange that there is problems elsewhere. CBD is not psychoactive, so I don't really see what the problem would be to use it for medicinal purposes. I know in other states it's not possible. Specifically, there's, I think, 8 that are outlawing CBD, which I think is kind of ridiculous, you know.
23 stores across Rutherford County had to be shut down, Rory, including this beer and liquor store here in Lavergne.
These products, they look like gummy bears and lifesavers, and so they obviously are made to look like candy.
The signs outside 23 shuttered stores in Rutherford County could not have been clearer today. As for the 23 stores padlocked today, they will stay closed until a judge can hear this case.
One of our stores was targeted for one of these raids that we supposedly had CBD there that we were selling illegally, but all of our CBD is hemp derived and all of our CBD is legal in all 50 states.
To our knowledge, we were fully compliant with all state and federal laws. Fortunately, the store that we're in right now was not shut down. We had been open for, I think, 2 days at that point here. We're not even fully operational yet here, but we're kind of forced to be. We carry some very good locally made and sourced CBD, and the company is 100% on board with us. We have come together with them on the legal team, and we are going to court tomorrow as, like, I'm assuming the initial hearing.
One, I think that this county, the judge, the DA, is definitely misinformed about the products that's going around his own county. I mean, just being here in Murfreesboro, we've seen an overdose happen just this past week here on Main Street, right behind our store.
And in this state, it's very apparent, and a lot of people that shop with us that want to buy hemp-based CBD products come in looking for an alternative to a painkiller, come in looking for an alternative to a narcotic. We have such a large production of hemp, and they want these hemp products to be on the market nationwide, yet we're, I believe, 25 miles, 30 miles away from Franklin, Tennessee, where this farm is and this manufacturing facility is, and yet we're shut down. It kind of is ridiculous, actually.
Right now we're in mid-February, so we're starting to prep our fields. This farm is dedicated primarily to high CBD varieties. My father, who had a best friend growing up who was a big influence on my life, developed terminal stage 4 cancer and was told that he was too far gone for chemo. After doing some research, I dove in. I found a lab up in Lansing, Michigan to start producing RSO oil to my specifications. He actually came out ahead, cancer-free. To this day, he's still living a great, healthy life. Going into court tomorrow is a very big deal. I've been retained as an expert witness for several of the cases. I think we're in the middle of a huge sea change.
You know, I felt a lot of sadness about what's happened this week because there's been stores that we regularly keep stocked, and we have customers that have all kinds of different issues with their kids or with their loved ones or with themselves that depend on us delivering product to these stores every week. And so a lot of these stores have said, hey, you know what, we're going to have to wait until all this blows over and keep you guys off the shelf, which is so sad to me because there's people that need it. So people, good people that are in pain and depend on CBD daily are not getting what they need, all because of, I would say some really poor choices and some uninformed information and action. So it's not just about getting higher. It's not just about, pain management through high THC. There's so many different cannabinoids out there that we're just beginning to really understand. My grandmother, who I'm dearly close to, was diagnosed with ovarian cancer. She surprised all of us when she reached out and said, I want to try a natural route. I want to get CBD and I want to see what that can do. She started going and getting scans, and the tumor just kept shrinking and shrinking and shrinking, and now it's been 2.5 years and she's cancer-free. I'm in it not only for my grandmother, but for the whole human race.
This southwest-facing hill that's been cleared for us will be all covered in a solar array. We'll have this powered. This giant empty space, we have intentions of building a small office space and research lab, as well as up to 10 more of the greenhouses. This is where it all starts. With the greenhouses. Now this one has been moved over, of course is very empty at this point. This will be full of plants, along, like I said, many more of these. It's coming together.
Big time.
So right now we are standing in a barn that was originally built in 1886. We restored it about 16 years ago. That was it, actually. Yeah. It's been a little bit of a project, but it's been cool. The farm had been the family for a while, and more than anything, you want your mom or your parents to see something that they've put enough effort into actually be passed forward and turn into something that maybe they didn't even anticipate originally. But I get to be outside all the time. I get to help people. We get calls on a daily basis from people just, I don't know. I mean, it's actually changing people's lives, and it's nice to be a part of something like that.
Indiana Governor Eric Holcomb is ordering state excise police to conduct surprise inspections to see if Indiana stores are selling CBD oil.
There are hundreds of retailers who sell CBD oil in Indiana, and there are thousands of Hoosiers who use it to treat their pain. Most all of them have been anxious since the Attorney General said these words 1 week ago.
CBD oil is not legal to possess and sell in the state of Indiana.
13 Investigates has already shown how state excise police raided stores and confiscated their CBD oil, even charging store owners with possession of marijuana. But the announcement by the governor and the attorney general have left customers nervous and scrambling.
We didn't get shut down, but we did have a local officer come in here a few times telling us that we couldn't be carrying, that we were breaking the law. So he was misunderstanding it as being marijuana opposed to being hemp. Hemp's been legal for a while. I mean, we carry hemp protein and hemp oil, just plain oil. We carry hemp seeds. For example, CBD, there's no scientific study that I'm aware of that shows that it's good for Parkinson's. We have a customer that literally shakes all day long. He said within the first half a day, he noticed a difference and didn't know if it was that or not. And then he came back the next day and spoke to my wife. She's like, came in and showed her, he's like, my hand's barely moving. I think the end result will be that it's gonna be legal. I mean, you have the bordering state, Kentucky, which does farm it, which a lot of our hemp oil actually comes from there as well. I mean, I already know there's farmers that have land that would be glad to do it. They would make a little bit more money than they make off corn or soy. Yeah, it would absolutely be a boon to the economy opposed to having to bring it in. So you know the source as well. There's a lot of products we get in the store that have benefit, but I'll tell you the greatest response has been from that. Truly has.
Oh no, don't fall.
There, go. Go, baby, go.
You fell.
Ready?
Jayla, hey, you got some firewood over here to put in?
Oh.
You got it.
Oh, big girl. Yay.
Jayla.
Come on, let's help Daddy. No, don't touch that. Ooh-wee.
Ew.
Come on.
So we've been married for almost 4 years now.
After I met Lelah, we dated for probably 2 years. From there, we went to having Jayla.
Jayla was born completely normal, and shortly after she got her 6-month shots, she developed a rash that was unexplainable. She was 104.7 fevers, and then the seizures started.
Right around 9 months, I guess, I noticed that she had a twitch.
They called us July 3rd, and that's when they told us that the EEG had shown the seizure activity.
And after doing research upon research, we decided to use Charlotte's Web CBD oil or hemp-derived oil.
You know, the EEG showed 30 to 40 seizures in a 40-minute time span. That's a lot of seizures. And with the CBD oil that we got from the doctor, from the neurologist, we were only seeing 2 seizures a day at the max. You know, because they kept pushing, they kept calling, are you going to put her on the meds, are you going to put her on the meds? No, we're not, because we've got a safe and effective treatment.
DCS came in and told us that they were going to basically strip our rights as parents.
When DCS came into our home, they, first off, had never spoken to a doctor when they walked into our home. I asked her, I said, do you know anything about epilepsy? She said, no. She goes, this is the informal adjustment. 1, you have to keep her on the medication, period. You don't have any other choice. 2, you have to take her for a weekly blood draw to say that she's on the medications. This hasn't even been tested or approved in a child under the age of 2 years of age. And then she's screaming at me, well, did you know that CBD oil isn't safe for anybody under the age of 2 either? Do we keep fighting them, or do we at least give them 1 lab draw? Because if we don't do this lab draw, they're going to take our kid.
We got forced to go to University of Louisville.
The traumatizing experience that it was just to get Jayla's lab draw once.
My little girl was just screaming bloody murder. We're walking into Memorial Hospital. Not happy about this. Her whininess is due to the medicine, Keppra. Here we go. That went on for, I don't know how long.
I can't do this.
Honey, sit down.
We're still at Memorial.
I'm supposed to be okay with this? No. And they want us to do this weekly. CPS wants us to do this weekly. To me, I would really love to see Some of the bills passed through the House and Senate.
If they can't even get this horrible CBD-only law passed, we have to move.
We're just concentrating on making the next bill. Luckily, we planned for it. We've got firewood, we've got food. We can all our fruits and freeze some of our fruits, and pretty much anything and everything that you can make out of a tomato, we make it, including ketchup, which is not very good.
We do believe in that way of life where, you know, you need to know where your stuff comes from. If you buy food in the store, who's touched it? What's in it? Do you know?
Jayla knows the difference between store-bought green beans and green beans that come out of the garden. When we tried to give her the Kepra, she would push it away, she would shove it away, because she knew exactly what was helping her. It was the Charlotte's Web.
That's what I was checking to see if they updated the House bill.
Or where we can move to if it don't pass.
We're going to Florida.
Florida?
Yep.
Hurricanes. They suck.
And they have landslides in California.
Okay, so we'll go to Colorado.
It's snowing right now.
Yeah, it is.
I think
Fine, we'll go up to Trista's. We'll buy the house right next to him.
It's not legal in Iowa.
I'm trying to give options,
Now
honey.
what?
Jayla. Psst. What are you doing? Oh, Mommy.
I kind of felt they were terrorized when they were notified because they were using this product for their little daughter. And that we have a state agency that is threatening them. I don't tolerate that. These are parents who are looking after their children and tag team each other, staying up all night with their children, only to wake up in the morning to start it all over again. Do you think they would risk something for these little children that they love so much, so dearly? These are actual counts. These are not research studies. These are people who have found that this really works for them. And these are also people that were willing to take on all of the prescription medicine that was prescribed to them. And then when you look at the opioid addiction that's eating us alive, and we got a product here that if you spill it in your yard won't kill your grass, it won't send you to your grave. You know, our Senate Bill 52 went the bills, we're at halfway point now, so the House bills have come to us, Senate bills have gone to them, and the object here is that we got something for our citizens, that they don't have to worry about stockpiling or racing and bankrupting themselves to buy all they can because of fear that it no longer will exist for them. By far, up to this point in my 8 years, this is one of the most important issues I've ever been able to have the blessing to be involved with.
My name is Thomas McDermott Jr. I'm the mayor of Hammond, Indiana, city of 81,000 people, and we touch Chicago. You know, I could ride my bike from here to downtown Chicago. I've been here I'm in my 4th term. I'm blunt. I tell the truth about what's going on. Sometimes I get myself in trouble because I say the wrong things. Oh, Teddy's the best. I love Teddy. He's named after Theodore Roosevelt, 12-year-old. He's a yellow lab, and he's a big boy. I'm watching my dog get older, you know, and to me it's like, you know, he'd get up and it's a real slow. Dr. Mike, who's a great guy, and he's really into natural herbal remedies, and mentioned to me that he'd been telling a lot of his patients with arthritis type of symptoms that they should take CBD oil, and it's newly legalized, and it was. I asked Dr. Mike what he thought about letting my dog try it, and he said, I think it'd be a great idea. And I noticed within a few days that Teddy had a lot more energy. After doing this for a few weeks, I was like, wow, this is really having an impact on Teddy. And there was a CLE in Indianapolis, and I was there. I didn't even know the Attorney General was supposed to be there, but he's there. So I sit there and I sit through this whole thing, and this guy, Curtis Hill, he's a big right-winger. So I raise my hand, and he calls on me, and I tell him about Teddy. Does this mean that my dog Teddy's gonna get thrown in jail if he keeps on taking this medicine? He goes, no, it means you are breaking the law. And the whole meeting broke up after that. I was just shocked. Well, anyway, the long and the short of it is the next day I wake up and I'm leaving my hotel room and I look at the Indy Star and my dog is on the front page. If I had my druthers, we'd take it a step further in medical marijuana. We'd sell it in liquor stores and legalize it and regulate it and tax it. When I was a kid, all right, it was a lot easier for me to buy marijuana than it would be to buy alcohol. We have a lot of opioid abuse in our state, and it's embarrassing because, you know, we always measure murder, violent crime. We always have a pretty good idea where each year, it's grim, but that's part of my job, okay? And then a couple years ago, I was like, how come I never get notified when there's an overdose? So I told my chief, my fire chief, I said, hey, every time you have an overdose, any type of overdose, even not death, I want you to text me and give me the circumstances. And then he's like, okay, we just had one. I'm like, okay, look. And then like the next day I had two. Like, it's hard for us to realize right now in the moment that we're in the prohibition, but we are. And it's not fair that in Indiana, you could go to prison for something that somebody in California could buy at a grocery store or at the store down the street. It's not fair.
All right, buddy. Come here, Clover. Time for medicine, buddy. Good boy. Okay, buddy, let's go. My name is Will. We're in Pollywog Park in Manhattan Beach, California. Clover's been suffering for seizures for about 3 years right now, and so we decided to give cannabis oil a try. And it seemed to work wonders for him. Within about 2 weeks, Clover was only having one seizure. It would last maybe 2 minutes, and he'd be back up on his feet right after. You know, when you go into a vet, I think a vet should be able to give you the option between maybe using a cannabis product or using a pharmaceutical product. I'm sure he doesn't know what the medicine's doing for him, but I think he has an idea that something's different in his life now.
Hey, Clover.
Oh, hey, Dr. Shu.
Buddy, how are you? Oh, good boy.
Hey, good to see you again. How are you?
Good to see you, buddy. There you go. There you go.
Good boy, buddy. Good boy. Well, Dr. Shu's the one that developed this product, and you know, he's the reason why my dog is doing a lot better from what it used to be.
So in all vertebrates, you know, mammals, birds, fish, reptiles, we found an endocannabinoid system. So whenever things are excessive, for example, if there's excessive pain or inflammation, the endocannabinoid system works to bring things back in balance. And so the thinking is that because the endocannabinoid system is in all animals, then they can all benefit from cannabinoid therapy. And that's what we've seen, especially in dogs and cats, but we've also seen it in other species, including pigs, ferrets, rabbits, guinea pigs, and even horses. No one's trying to get pets high. No one's trying to get animals high. This is really about medicine. This is really about improving quality of life.
But what really scares me is that, you know, you can make all the state laws that you want. Federal law always supersedes state law.
Sometimes patients aren't able to get the seizure control that they need using traditional pharmaceuticals, and you know, not just in pets, but also, you know, in children famously.
Sure. You know, because I'm gonna be honest, it's not easy to get. You know, there's very few shops that carry it. You really kind of got to search for it. But my hope is if it becomes more legal, that it be available easier, you know, it'd be easier to get.
You know, now we're kind of shifting into a gray market where, you know, federally it's still illegal, but, you know, according to some states it's legal.
You know, I think things are changed. You know, I'm optimistic for the future.
Okay, so welcome to Realm of Caring. You're standing in international headquarters for the Realm of Caring Foundation. And then this is our newest project. This is our Child Development Center. My first thought was I'd really love a great place for my staff to be able to have lunch with their children, and it increases productivity, all of those sorts of things. So
my daughter Adeline was born with a brain malformation, and so at about 6 months of age, she began having intractable seizures. 9 months after having her first seizure, she was hospitalized, compiling medication on top of medication at the request of her neurologist. And over time, we lost Addie, just carrying a shell of her through life with us, carrying her little body with us. Once we learned about medical cannabis as an option for her, it just made sense that we would try that. And of course, she stabilized medically, so she was able to learn to eat again. She's now learning to drink.
This is a relatively new thing that we're doing. We're putting a pin up on the map when we get a call from somewhere new. So I see Singapore and I see Tokyo, Japan. We really walk people through what the data and research would suggest. So that's what those conversations look like, and we do that to the tune of 7,000 or 8,000 times a month back here right now. 5 languages are spoken back here, and we currently have the largest research registry in the United States, and we collaborate with Johns Hopkins University to get that done, because I'm pretty sure I'm biased. This is my son, Zakai Jackson. Zakai, say hi. Can you look up and say hi? Say hi. And he has a condition called Doza syndrome, which is a rare form of early childhood epilepsy. And by the time he was 5 years old, he had had over 500,000 seizures. Our hospice counselor actually asked if we had thought about medical cannabis. So he started using cannabis in July of 2012. And we didn't have a seizure for 48 hours. After about 3 months, his seizures just remitted. And so that's why we're sitting at the Realm of Caring right now, because I had to find, the nearest mountaintop and tell my community that this is an option. When you talk about what's happening federally and you hear Jeff Sessions say that he's going to ensure that we are enforcing these federal laws, I have no other agenda except for to keep my son alive. I'm not a criminal. I'm not going to allow you to make me a criminal. Cannabis is a Schedule I substance, and so it makes research incredibly difficult to do, especially the gold standard research, double-blind, placebo-controlled trials. Here, all of these success stories pile up. You have to say, there's this mound of anecdotal evidence that we need to collect in a scientific way so we can prove what it is that we're seeing here. Can placebo come into effect? Yes, it can. Can placebo regulate an EEG and completely remit my son's seizures when he doesn't have any idea what he's taking? Well, no. It just happens to be this plant. And so that makes some people uncomfortable. We need to collaborate. We need to cooperate. We need to help people. And there are going to be families who are going to be more comfortable accessing cannabis-based medicine from their doctor in the white coat with their prescription pad. And then you know what? That's okay. And there's going to be families like mine that pharmaceuticals have been a ball and chain for a really long time.
Marijuana had been put in Schedule I by Congress in 1970 as a kind of a holding pattern until the National Commission on Marijuana and Drug Abuse would issue its report. Congress didn't necessarily believe that marijuana was as dangerous as heroin and other drugs, but it was parked there temporarily, and it has now been there for almost a half century. We now have a large medical cannabis industry, and we are operating without DEA oversight at the state level. If we put marijuana in Schedule 2 or 3 or 4, that gives DEA the authority to go over and take over this entire state regulatory system. That, I don't think, is in the best interests of patients or medicine, given DEA's history of contempt for medical cannabis users, doctors, and people associated with it.
On your next exhalation, bring your hands down to your feet. Now as you inhale, you want to bring the left foot back into the lunge position. Left knee is down, head and chest are up. In about 10 minutes, we're going to get started with the race. T-minus 10 minutes till the 4.20 mile course.
Free organic water.
Well, my friends call me Rick, but I'm known to the world as Freeway Rick Ross. I've been taking CBD myself. I got glaucoma, and I'm just hoping that CBD is the cure-all that everybody says it is, and I'm hopeful. Prohibition has never worked. You know, I don't know why we keep going back to something that never worked and it never will work. And I'm just hoping that more people will understand that marijuana is the kind of plant that brings peace and harmony to everybody.
My name is Ricky Williams. We're here in Santa Monica at the pier for the 420 games. I was a pretty good football player. Did a lot of great things. I got in a little trouble for using cannabis. Traveled around the world, realized that I'm a football player, but at my heart, I'm actually a healer. And now I'm, coming out into the world as who I really am. There's still a stigma, and it's changing now, but a lot of players in the NFL are afraid to consume cannabis because of the drug test. I think there's a taboo against altered states of consciousness, but for thousands of years, tens of thousands of years, altered states of consciousness have been the core root of any kind of true lasting healing. So these are massage chairs. So one of our products is called Maintenance and Repair, and it's a salve with CBD mainly and other herbs.
All right, so I'm going to hand the mic off to Ricky, who's an accredited yogi. He's traveled to India before, and the guy knows his stuff. So come on over here and let's do a nice warm down together.
In yoga, we talk about the mind always follows the breath. Inhale, bringing your arms up. And again, now exhale, stretching your back and your hamstrings. Inhale, bringing the energy up. So hopefully people can receive some kind of healing, help, recovery, and enjoy themselves. So thank you guys for being here.
Operation Candy Crush is about to be crushed. Stunning new developments tonight in the high-profile case where police raided several businesses for selling CBD gummies made from cannabis.
All charges are now expected to be dropped. It's likely lawsuits will be filed.
So right now we're in the Magical Vapors in Smyrna, one of the 23 stores that were shut down in the Tennessee Rutherford County raid. This company had 2 stores that were shut down, and a couple other companies had 2 or 3 stores that were shut down as well. It was open in 5 days, so it was shut down Monday, and Friday the court case was ensued, and then at the end of that court case they issued an opening of all the stores. The way they came in is there was a sheriff that parked in like halfway into the handicap and halfway into the cross area. So when he parked there, it just looked like, somebody parked their car like offset. So he comes in and he lets us know like store shutting down. Then I start getting nervous, so I go into the corner and sit down over in the chair over in the corner. He let me know, oh, there's CBD here, why don't you just take one of these bottles? And it kind of threw me for a loop because, first of all, they're telling me it's illegal. And then next thing I know is they're telling me that I need to use it for my issue because I do have a stress-related seizure. It is actually in the state laws that as long as it's below a certain THC percentage and being an industrial hemp product, that it is legal in the state of Tennessee. And that's one great thing about one of the companies we use is because Tennessee CBD was part of the whole motion to get that started. So because of that, I don't think it'll happen again, but because it's Tennessee, I wouldn't doubt they'd try.
Just give me the knife again. Do I have it?
Here we go. Whoa,
dude!
I'm sorry. I did not know it was. All I could see was the handle.
This is your knife. You know how it opens and closes.
But I didn't touch it last.
Yes.
It was open. I've totally. I did not. I usually don't ever leave it.
In Tennessee, it likes to rain a lot in the spring, and so when we get these heavy downpours, we have a lot of washouts, and a lot of the time the Harpeth River in Franklin will actually flood. And so the last thing that we want is anybody to be stuck out there on a day like today. So we opted to be here working on the future site of Lapcana East in East Nashville. There were several attorneys involved in Rutherford County. I took one of the attorneys, I hate to say under my wing, but I spent a couple of days with him actually teaching him about hemp law and kind of where things are and where his defense should be. And we wrote collaboratively a fantastic motion for dismissal. When we got to court, we sold the other attorneys on the idea of jumping on board and trying to just go the easy route and arguing the law as it really is. That's led into opportunities for us to start conducting some clinical trials this year. And so we've been meeting with several different groups around the state to try to get these trials going. Actually kind of waiting on a call to find out about one. But what we've done is we've poured a concrete slab here. We'll have railing around it, couches, chairs. We just launched 4 new CBD-infused kombuchas. This entire thing right now is a binding agent that was designed to hold a lightweight lime concrete. Of course, we're not using just simple concrete, we're actually making hempcrete, and we'll be doing, it looks like twice a week, educational seminars, hosting political fundraisers. It's really an event space that is open to anyone without a reservation fee, as long as it's a cause that has some overlap. The platform that exists will be glassed in, and we're actually keeping some of our mother plants. So we'll have 24-hour light cycle, some of our moms on display. So what's the update? Are we on for this week?
We're going to meet Tuesday to kind of plan the next steps and immediately start with the pre-trials.
Nice. All right.
Fantastic.
That's what's up, man. Dude.
Tuesday. Trials.
That is clinicals right there. You know we'll pass pre-trials.
Oh yeah. And there's what, maybe a small handful of CBD companies that are getting trials done with their products right now.
Oh yeah, this is like large scale, like 11 states, 46 offices, 200,000 active patients. This is not a 500-person GW Pharma study.
Right.
So.
To have it
Sure.
tweaks something.
Zach, catch.
Thank you. All right. All right, here we go. Bam.
CBD oil is now fully legal in Indiana.
Yeah, Governor Holcomb actually signed the bill yesterday, ending months of widespread confusion.
I'm grateful for the General Assembly's hard work to bring me a bill to address the needs expressed by our citizens. It is now legal for anyone to buy CBD oil. It is effective as of this morning.
So in here we got a lot of different kinds of lettuces and greens. We've got some cilantro, a lot of different edibles. We got some blue kale. The plant grows in here. We got a hydroton. All it is just to keep your roots planted and keep it dark, because your roots don't like a lot of light. Well, I started off as being the only person in Bloomington selling the CBD after several stores went through some troubles, and the Indiana Excise Police were raiding the stores and taking their CBD products, and then that's when I got into the game. I went real public with it and would call the Attorney General every day, and I was sending them emails and letting them know that we had it. They were trying to find these stores, and I was not going to pay any fine. We have some people coming in for CBD that have Parkinson's disease. One guy, he said he was ready to end his life, that he hated it so much, and then he discovered CBD, and he doesn't shake hardly at all now. So the recent legislation session was real crazy. The first one that passed 93-0 was actually going to legalize hemp growing here, and so no one voted against it. The governor saw it. All he had to do was sign it and it go through. He said, nope, Indiana isn't ready. So he sent it to a committee to study, even though Purdue's been studying it for the last 5 years, and obviously other states have too. So all the information is there about it, but they were putting a slowdown on it, and that bill did not get passed. It got turned into a gun bill instead, because Indiana loves their guns. Another bill ended up passing that legalized the CBD alone, just not the hemp growing, which isn't really anything, since there was no law saying it was illegal. So why do we have to have a law saying it's legal? And so I think Indiana, next few years might actually be able to get a medical cannabis bill passed. So normal Indiana has been real helpful.
My name is William Martin. I'm a criminal defense attorney here in Indianapolis. I am on the board of directors for Indiana NORML. As a criminal defense attorney, I'm dealing with people with major issues, small issues, representing them throughout the state. I see people getting pulled over based on their bumper stickers or the way they look. I believe it has to do with all the money they take in from marijuana arrests. I mean, they don't see all the money that could be made if it was made legal.
Well, I am a combat trauma nurse. So when you come back from combat, as most people know, patients go to the VA when they get out of the military, and then they get hooked on opioids. And our veterans were dying at 22 veterans a day, and a lot of it was they were overdosing, or they just couldn't deal with the pain, so they were taking their lives. Cannabis, marijuana, hemp, CBD was beneficial for their pain, and they started pushing the VA to do more research. Then I saw a kid who was supposed to die. He was on 3 anti-seizure meds. The FDA medications are shutting down his liver, his kidney, and it's affecting his heart. Well, the mother couldn't accept that. So what she did was she gave him some medical cannabis, not telling any of us in the medical field. And I walked in one day and I noticed he wasn't having any seizures. And he normally has up to 16 a day, and he would stop breathing for up to 5 minutes. And I asked her, I said, well, did the doctors prescribe him anything? And she's like, no. And I'm like, well, did you give him anything? And she's like, no. Well, a little bit later, she came back and said, well, I gave him medical cannabis. And I said, wow, I've never seen anything like it. So either God came down and just magically healed him, or medical cannabis worked. And after about 6 months, I felt comfortable with the knowledge, and I started reaching out to groups. And that's where I met David Phipps.
I'm feeling fantastic. Today's 420. 420. It all started decades ago back in Southern California. As far as I know, there's a lot of different theories. Today we're celebrating we're going to have a legalization rally at the governor's mansion. Recently, our governor, Eric Holcomb, he came out and said he's not ready for medical cannabis. So since he said he's not ready, Hoosiers are going to gather there in front of his mansion today on 420 to let him know that even though he's not ready, we are.
Okay. Hello. 1, 2. They're all in, right? All right. Is it audible? Cannabis is the healing plant. It'll cure many kinds of diseases. It will help you to relax. It will help you to sleep.
Governor Eric Holcomb says the state is not yet ready to legalize industrial hemp. Really, though, a stunning setback for a proposal that would allow Indiana to join a booming industry.
These are Hoosiers from all across the state that traveled here today. There's Hoosiers from Lake County all the way down to Clark County and all in between. Veterans, patients, you name it, they're here. Former law enforcement. So we want our governor to, if not fully change that opinion right away, to at least come around and say, I'm willing to hear you out and see what it has to offer. A lot of horns honking and a lot of support. Nothing but supportive words and honks from the people.
So I served 6 years in the Marine Corps and had 9 years of experience in law enforcement. Discovered that the prohibition of cannabis seemed to be actually hurting people.
I need medical marijuana. I have MS for 26 years. The National Multiple Sclerosis Society supports medical cannabis for MS patients. Why doesn't Indiana?
The veterans get more attention, and the politicians seem to listen a little bit better to the veterans and stuff. I don't get in the boxing ring to lose, so that's the thing about us veterans.
I'm a state representative in the Indiana House. We run for election every 2 years. Marine Corps veteran. I like a good fight. Tell people where I stand, and once I become passionate about something, I won't let up. Okay, on the CBD issue, this is something that I was indifferent about up until about this time last year. Then the Attorney General come in and made his ruling that he thought it was illegal, and then that's when things really started to escalate. And then I heard the story of the Jerger family. The chaos that we did have, the monumental level of chaos over CBD being legal or illegal, it really brought a lot of attention to it. So that makes the job actually easier. Indiana's the top manufacturing state in the nation. We're one of the top ag states. But the frustrating part for me is I have investors right now willing to invest tens of millions of dollars in our state if we can get things going. if there is no medical benefit to it, why are these pharmaceutical companies investing millions, if not tens of millions of dollars, and all of a sudden, was it GW, come out, oh, hey, we've got this, this cannabis-based medicine. So I hate to be, that guy that's a conspiracy theorist, but when it becomes this obvious, trying to prevent people from using a plant that mankind's been using for thousands of years that you can't die from. Again, as I mentioned earlier, this wave is building. It's just going to continue to get that much larger, and it will be impossible to ignore.
I don't know how long ago I did first hear about CBD. We have not yet discovered all the value cannabinoids provide for humans. If a physician is saying, here, take drug X, Y, and Z with this known profile of very serious side effects, and they're not at the same time aware of the studies that show this condition could be treated by cannabis with these much more minor manageable side effects, there's very low toxicity. Well, that borders on malpractice, it seems to me.
Mommy's making you a hot one. You got one for not, that's meat, right?
It's fine.
Not for vegetables, cross-contamination, we're all gonna get E. coli.
And it's all going to be cooked.
Why you don't cook?
It's all going to go in the same thing, so what's the difference if it's cross-contaminated now? We're at Du Bois County 4-H Fairgrounds, camping, spending the weekend with the family. I got all my cast iron out and got it all seasoned, cooked breakfast, bacon and eggs. We had an attorney, put him on the back burner and went with the ACLU so they can represent us in the case. I think we got a good future ahead of us. We don't have to move out of state. There for a while, Lelah and Jade were gone out of the state. They came home and they're to stay.
Oh.
Don't put the leaf in your ear, ding dong.
Ew, don't do that. Jayla. Middle of February we were still in session, and they did pass the CBD law where anything below 0.3% THC you can use in the state of Indiana now. I really feel like they passed that to shut us all up. I think that by passing it, maybe they think we're gonna let off of it and we're not gonna push as hard now that at least we've got CBD oil, which, wrong answer, they've completely fooled on that. We're just gonna push even harder now for medical. I know it definitely won't happen if we don't get Holcomb out. If we keep the governor that we have right now, it'll never happen. Yes, I would have paid to be there. I would have loved to be there. I would have loved for him to have been there. Just show his face. If he doesn't want to act like a coward, then that's what he should have done yesterday. He should have shown his face and gave us a reason why can't we have it? Why can't we have medical cannabis in the state of Indiana? And so I believe it changed everything in our life, the course of what way our lives are going to go, but we don't know what way yet.
How do you think Jaylah's going to feel like as she gets older and she watches things like Today's Show and this film?
I think she's gonna know how much love she actually has around her. I don't think she'll remember any of it, really. But she'll have the memory. The memory is what it's about.
You know, I've been mayor for 15 years, and I was never asked if I had ever smoked marijuana in my entire life up until about, I don't know, it was about a month ago. I was asked by a student in high school if I thought marijuana should be legalized, and I said yes.
Would I be the first person to ask you on camera if you use marijuana?
I did. I inhaled on purpose. That was the purpose.